Welcome to Mojave Model Railroad. I'm Tina Marie Cowett, and you get an exclusive layout update number 1 behind the scenes of my layout coming up next. You know, that's a great question to start at. Who is Tina Marie? Well, I am a semi-retired, I guess you could say, business owner. I've owned multiple companies. I actually sold my first company when I was 17. And I've sold multiple companies over my lifetime. Currently, I own, manage, produce, even do an on-air radio show on KCR Radio. That is my baby. We have hosts from around the world that are on this network. And most of my time, 7 days a week, is focused on that project. So as much as I would love to spend time in my railroad room, I do have to spend time actually doing some work for my hosts who are nationwide and worldwide. So those of you who are interested, you can go to kcrradio.com. You can learn a little bit more about me. I do have my own radio show on the paranormal and ufology and all that really crazy stuff. It's called Restricted Airspace. That's on Friday nights from 7 o'clock to 9 p.m. Again, at kcrradio.com. And you can go there. And again, that's my baby that I started years ago as a retirement project. And now my second retirement project is a layout I'm currently working on. So that's me in a nutshell. 25 years in radio as well as TV. Most of my time has either been behind the camera. I'm not one that likes to be in front of the camera, so this is a new thing for me, doing a YouTube channel. But I have no problem being on radio, on air, and I've done that for 25 years from the East Coast to the West Coast, FM stations, AM stations, even TV stations. But my passion definitely is radio. My second passion is model railroading. So how long have I been in the model railroading hobby? Probably since the mid to late 80s. I was fortunate enough growing up. I had a family that lived not too far away in New England, literally less than a quarter mile from the Boston and Maine Railroad that used to pass by daily in my small little town. And my uncle was also an expert carpenter who had a beautiful layout on the second story of his garage. And as grandkids, all us grandkids got to play and watch those model railroads. Now the hobby has come a long way since those days, but I still have a passion, and I'll always be thankful for my uncle, as well as those in my family that encouraged my passion when I could have been playing with Barbies. So that's how long I've been in the model railroading hobby. So what era do I model on my railroad? More current. I like to run more current stuff. However, as I always tell everybody, it's my railroad. So there is a bunch of different road names that probably don't go together. There's a bunch of different engines that don't go together. Now I don't run steam, although I have some steam and I collect them because I'm fascinated with that era as well. But the modern stuff that I run, there's no particular line. So sometimes I have Boston and Maine and Guilford and Worcester Providence because I grew up in New England. But I also run Union Pacific. I love the Canadian North. So I do have a variety of different trains that I run on my layout, but it's my layout. So because it's my layout, I run what makes me happy. So that's the era I model. What's my favorite part of the hobby? Whew. You know, there's so many elements, especially now when you have DCC and you get into the computer electronics. That stuff I really have a passion about because not only have I spent 25 plus years in radio and TV working on the technical end, I also have a background in computers. So my websites, all my computers in my studios are all built by me. So I do have a passion for that kind of technical stuff, but I also love the detail work. Being a Virgo, I can get a little bit anal with the detail that goes into scene by scene by scene. And I think all of us at some point have done this, where we have a scene and we constantly keep adding small little details. It might be a squirrel in a tree, or a bird in a tree, or a trash can or something, but we just always feel that it's never complete. I don't think a model railroad is ever complete. You can always find that one little thing that you can add. And I would say probably more the technical aspect and doing the scenery. I really love the small detail work. What is my least favorite part of this hobby? This is probably going to offend some of you, and it's not meant to offend you at all. I like to use the term rivet counters in this industry. There are many that are so talented, and they run a specific line, only the specific cars from a specific era. Everything is for that particular era, and I appreciate that by all means. What I don't like is when these rivet counters tear down other people in the hobby who just love the hobby, who just have a passion for it, and they're not looking to do anything but to just enjoy the hobby with others, but they get tore down because something doesn't fit, or train, or doesn't run, or it's not prototypical. Listen, bottom line, it's your railroad. And as much as the detail work, and I applaud the people in this field who are rivet counters, take a step back for a second and understand that this field will never grow. And we won't want new people coming into the field if they feel pressured that they can't share all their things that they're learning without being torn down. So rivet counters, I love you, but stop. So is this layout DC or DCC? Well, this layout is a DCC layout, and we'll give you a complete tour of it. It is 14 feet by 16 feet. It's shaped like a U. It's only one single level, and I run the NCE system on here, as well as JMRI, which I'm working on, and I'll kind of show you a little bit of some little things I'm working on to create panels that are all just touchscreen with JMRI instead of actually having manual switches. Again, when we go through the layout tour, you'll see a little bit more, but this layout is completely DCC. My favorite brand, when I started out, I would have to say it was the Genesis. And I'll give you a quick tour behind me, as I have some of my trains up behind me from storage. I have a lot more underneath, but I would say currently today, the brand that I really buy a lot of is Scale Trains. I think that their customer service is fabulous. I think their product line is fabulous. And I bought a lot of MTH stuff in O-scale when my son was younger, which I've since sold a lot of that to pay for my HO hobby. But the fact that they just bought all the tooling for MTH, I'm really looking forward to see what they're going to put forth, including through their steam line, which I think is just going to be absolutely fabulous if they bring it up to the River Counter brand name and all the detail they put in. So you'll see I run a combination of different models on my layout, but my favorite by far right now, if I had to put money down, would be Scale Trains. Okay, this is a great question. What gauge track do I use? You know, in a lot of the different model railroading groups that I am part of, there's a huge debate. And I think there is a need for all the different sizes, whether you want to have, run gauge 100. Personally, myself, I use gauge 83 throughout the entire layout. I have designed some layouts, some sectionals, where it's a combination of 83 and code 70. But most of the time for myself, it's all code 83, at least for this, because there are 13 modules in this unit, and I think it's easier to keep everything one solid code when you're having to make separation joints throughout your layout. And again, when you see the layout, you'll understand why I prefer code 83. It's more to scale. I think it has a better look to it. And although I love Micro Engineering's Flex Track, it's so hard to come by sometimes that most of my track is Atlas code 83 across the entire layout. Oh, this is a very touchy subject. Why do I think there's not as many women in the hobby? You know, I've come across a lot of women in this hobby on a local level, but a lot of them aren't publicly out and about because, and again, sorry guys, two things. Number one is, for whatever reason, many guys in this field think when a woman is in this field, it becomes a dating service. Guys, not all of us want to date you, okay? Sometimes we just like to go out and talk model railroading with no strings attached, okay? I think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of women don't come forth. Number two is, I think for a lot of women, and I experienced it very early on in this field, this is a very male-dominated hobby, and it has been for a long time. But guys, believe it or not, there's some women that are pretty knowledgeable in certain aspects of this hobby. I have found sometimes where I could be in a room with guys talking maybe DCC, maybe talking more of the technical aspects, some of it that I'm a little bit more familiar with than they are, but I'm talked down at instead of it as an equal because I am a woman in this field. So I think a lot of women don't come forth because they don't want to be hit on. And I think number two is there still is a stigma in this model railroading world that women can't do this. And I'll be honest with you, there are some incredible women on YouTube. One of the reasons why I have started this YouTube channel is because over the last probably 2 years, I've come to get to know quite a few women who have YouTube channels that are absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And my feeling is if they can do it, so can I. So hopefully if I can even encourage one girl, one woman out there watching, if you're a young girl, get in the hobby. Get in the hobby, learn it. It's fun, it's enjoyable. And believe it or not, there are a lot of guys out here that are very, very supportive of women in this field, and things are changing, and there are so many talented women now modeling that I am sometimes blown away by some of the work that they have done. And hopefully at some point, the groundwork that they laid, the groundwork that I'm laying, will lay the groundwork for even more women to come forward and put incredible content, not just on YouTube, but in the model railroading industry itself. You know, that's an absolutely fabulous question. I was recently asked if I do custom work because of some of the pictures and some of the stuff that I've posted on my social media platforms. And yes, I do custom work, but I don't promote it. At least currently right now, I don't promote it. Part of the reason is because of my workload with my other companies. I can't get product out as quickly as I would like to people who want custom work. Now I have done locally a lot of custom work. I've done some custom layout builds, as well as some modules, including weathering of vehicles and LED light installs and stuff along that lines, DCC installs. But it's kind of over the years blossomed because people have got to know that I do it for my local hobby store, but I don't publicly put that out there. However, keep your eye out because I do have a website hopefully coming very soon, that will have access to some of the products that I've either built or working on, or even give you the option to send stuff in and I can do work for you. So that is coming in the future, but as of now, most of my work is just very localized, and it's just for a few clients here and there, or people that I know I'm going to have the time to finish and get the product to them on a time and on budget. Okay, enough about me. It's time to take a tour of my layout. It's a 16 by 14. We're going to start over here in the main yard. We're going to do a little close-ups, little run-bys. We'll take some close-up pictures, and I'll kind of give you a layout update tour, number one, of what I've been working on over the last couple years for this layout. Again, remember, I do work 90 hours a week, so I do have limited time here in the model railroading room, but hopefully that's going to change a little bit in the future to come. So sit back, enjoy, and come take a look at the Mojave Model Railroad right here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada.